had no arms, just legs. Its eyes were glowing.
And it moved like it didn't have bones.
It looked straight at us.
It wasn't a man.
Different towns, different decades, different witnesses. But the stories keep coming back. Things in the woods, things on the road, things caught on camera that shouldn't exist. Tonight, we're following 5 of the strangest creature reports ever told. And the deeper we go, the less human they get. Fresno Nightcrawler. In 2007, a man in Fresno, California, checked his own security footage and found something walking across his garden. Not a person, not an animal, not even something with a body. Just 2 long white legs moving through the dark. The footage is grainy, the figures are thin, white, and they walk with this slow, awkward little shuffle, like a pair of pyjamas has escaped the washing line and decided to haunt the neighbourhood. Now, I know what you're thinking, Shane, that's clearly someone's trousers on a string, and to be fair, that's not an unreasonable starting point, but the footage became stranger when people noticed there appeared to be 2 of them moving in the same direction. No visible arms, torso or head. The original clip was reportedly filmed on CCTV. Then, a few years later, another alleged sighting appeared near Yosemite Lake Park, and suddenly it had the name, the Fresno Nightcrawler. It just looks wrong, like something has copied the idea of walking without ever seeing a human being do it properly. The Flatwoods Monster, September 1952, Flatwoods, West Virginia. A group of boys saw something bright streak across the sky and crash somewhere beyond a nearby hill. They grabbed a few adults, a dog, a torch, which is either brave or the exact beginning of every horror film ever made. As they climbed the hill, they noticed a strange mist hanging in the trees. Then they saw something glowing and standing near it. It was a figure, tall, dark, with a wide pointed shape around its head, glowing red-orange eyes, and a body witnesses described as almost floating. This became known as the Flatwoods Monster, or the Braxton County Monster, that looked less like an animal and more like a Victorian lamppost that had developed a personal grudge. This has also reported a horrible smell, a burning metallic fog, and afterwards some of them said they became sick. Nausea, headaches, throat irritation, which is exactly the sort of detail that makes weird sightings feel harder to shrug off, because people can mistake an owl, they can mistake a shadow, they can mistake a tree stump after 3 pints. But it's harder to explain why several people came home feeling ill after walking into some strange mist. The Dover Demon. April 1977, Dover, Massachusetts. A group of teenagers were driving along a quiet country road late at night when one of them saw something standing on a stone wall. At first it looked small, thin, almost human shaped, but then the headlights caught it properly, and whatever it was did not look human at all. The witnesses described a pale, hairless creature, long fingers, thin limbs, a huge oversized head, and enormous glowing orange eyes. Not just big eyes, eyes so large they seemed to take up most of its face. This thing looked like an alien had tried to design a monkey after only being given the word creepy. The creature was later named the Dover Demon, and what makes the case interesting is that it was not just one frightened person seeing something in the dark. Several teenagers reported encounters over 2 nights, different locations, similar descriptions: pale skin, long limbs, huge eyes, and strange way of moving. The kind of creature that does not need claws or teeth to make you uncomfortable. It just needs to be standing somewhere it should not be. And I'll be honest, if I'm driving down a dark road and I see a thing like that crouching on a wall, I'm not stopping. to investigate. I'm locking the doors and driving like a bat out of hell. The Loveland Frogman. Now, if a Dover demon sounded like an alien had escaped into rural Massachusetts, the next one sounds like Ohio accidentally created a boss battle, the Loveland Frogman. The story goes back to 1955. A businessman driving near Loveland, Ohio, claimed he saw several strange figures beside the road, small, humanoid, with leathery skin, frog-like faces, and according to the report, one of them appeared to be holding something in its hands that gave off sparks, which is very specific detail, because if you're already seeing frog-like people by the roadside, the last thing you need is one of them producing a wand and starting a light show. But the Loveland Frogman became much more famous in 1972 because this time the reports allegedly came from police officers. One officer said he saw a creature around 3 or 4 feet tall with rough skin, frog-like face and eyes reflecting in the headlights. Then it stood up and moved away into the darkness. A second officer later reported seeing something similar nearby. Not one person after a strange night, but multiple sightings in the same area in the same period by people trained to observe what's in front of them. Now, police officers are still human. They can be tired, they can misidentify things, and they can absolutely have a night where a large frog looks suspiciously like it pays council tax. But when 2 officers report something bizarre in the same place, you can see why the story never went away. The Beast of Bray Road. Now we come to the creature that made people in Wisconsin start looking twice at the side of the road. The Beast of Bray Road. For decades, people around Elkhorn, Wisconsin have reported seeing something huge near a lonely stretch of road called Bray Road. Not a wolf, not a bear, not a man, but something that seemed to sit somewhere in between. Witnesses described a creature covered in dark fur, broad shoulders, long arms, a wolf-like or dog-like head, and eyes that reflected in the headlights from the edge of the tree. But the detail that makes the Beast of Bray Road different is that some witnesses said it stood upright, not just briefly, not just scrabbling over a fence, standing, walking, watching cars pass. And that is where the Dogman stories begin, because across America there have been reports of huge canine creatures in forests, near roads and around isolated rural areas, sometimes on all fours, sometimes upright, sometimes described as aggressive, sometimes simply watching. The Bray Road sightings became especially well known in the late 1980s and early 1990s, when local newspaper reporter Linda Godfrey began collecting witness accounts. Farmers, drivers, people heading home late at night, people who had no reason to know each other, but described something eerily similar. And I'm sorry, but if I see a 7-foot wolf standing up beside my car, I'm not checking whether it needs help. I'm not filming it for TikTok, I'm sorry. I am not going to be using the indicators. I'm just going to bloody leave the county, possibly the country, possibly the planet. So there they are, 5 creatures that should not exist. A pair of white legs walking across a garden in California, a glowing figure in the woods in West Virginia, a pale, huge-eyed thing crouching on a wall in Massachusetts, a frog-like creature beside a road in Ohio, and something dog-like watching cars from the trees. Now, none of these creatures have been proven to exist. Some sightings may be misidentification, some may be hoaxes, and some may be folklore growing bigger every time it gets retold, and some may simply be seeing something strange in the dark, then trying to make sense of it afterwards. But that does not make the stories disappear. The footage still exists, the witness sketches still exist, the newspaper reports still exist, and in some cases the people who saw the things spent the rest of their lives insisting they were not mistaken. Let me know which you think is the strangest, and whether you want a part 2 with even more strange creatures. Stay curious, my friends. Shane out.